What's up, guys? Episode number 11, Light Into the Void. This one is on Eve Media, and I think it's important that we discuss this right after FanFest because it's fresh in everyone's mind, and we just had a huge interaction between the player base and everybody else and the Eve developing staff. So here's my concern. This is not just Eve Media. This goes for the CSM as well. So I think I should relabel this as both. But what I tend to see happen a lot is there is a not necessarily good relationship between the Eve Media and CCP and the CSM and CCP. Now, this is a misnomer. The relationship is sometimes too good. This is my problem. I'm a person who believes that my media and my elected representatives should be cordial and polite and intelligent and investigative, but also be an adversary, have adverse relation with the game company, with from our constituency as the player base. When they go to engage with CCP, they should have a adverse relationship. They should be asking questions, digging deep into stuff, really pushing the question list. They should be the investigative journalist, the Walter Cronkite. Who's the guy who did Watergate? I'm going to look this up because I think his name is important. Watergate. This guy was... Come on, what's the name of the freaking reporter? Role of the media. Bob Woodward, Carl Bernstein. Here we go. So, they had an informant, for those... Look up Watergate, but they also had an informant that helped out a lot. His name was Walter Mark Felt. Okay, so... What I see happen often, and it's driving me bananas, because I think you can really have a great relationship with CCP, but ask hard questions, and it's almost like people who can't separate the topic from real life. Okay, so you know people in your life who take things out of proportion and then start attacking you personally. Well, the reverse is also true. These relationships get so cozy that people start losing their objectiveness. They start defending indefensible topics, in my opinion. I mean, this is literally all my opinion. But the CCP staff are for the most part very awesome people that I've dealt with. And when you go to Eve meets like this, like Eve Vegas that we just had, you become closer as a community, developing staff and Eve Media personalities. I guess I'm considered one of them. And also the CSM members who interact with CCP on a much more regular basis than even the media people do. And certainly light years more than the player base does. What I see happen often is we have people in the media and the CSM who start towing the company line, and that's not what I want for my media or my CSM candidates that are elected to represent us. I want them to ask the hard questions. I want to know, for a recent example, what's going on with the leaks in the CSM. What is going on with Dust 514? There's been no news on that. The CSM leaks, I think the one that, unless I'm missing something, the major one right now is the huge variation in pricing that Lockbox just saw when he was doing some market analysis on some of the capital modules. They started moving rapidly well before the announcement at FanFest or at Eve Vegas. So I find I want these people to be, I want my Eve Media and my CSM members to be investigative journalists, and my youth media, and I want my CSM candidates to be statesmen. I want them to ask the hard questions, to represent us, and not have this relationship where they're their own. It's almost like some of these people are like vying for jobs at CCP. Like they become your cheerleader instead of your politician, and even I hate politician because it's a dirty word. Your statesman. I miss the statesman of what we had. We still have a few statesmen, in my opinion, that are in politics in America. But I have this idealistic view, and these were not idealistic people, of the founding fathers. I mean, they're all flawed people. Some of it you can find excuses for, kind of. Many of them owned slaves. I don't want to go down that political history, but for the most part, there were idealists, and I have an idealistic view of them, right? And these were people who wouldn't just accept something because they were told it. And I find that the media, for example, can be they don't ask any hard questions. Like, they don't. I have the pleasure of sitting in sometimes with the Open Comm show, and I find that Dirk and BC and Drayden, which is one reason why I probably like the show a lot, they do tend to ask, when they have people on of prominence from the company, they don't really tend to pull many punches, which is what I mean. You can ask hard questions but be polite, and a lot of people don't do that. The CSM is an interesting problem. So I mentioned this on my previous podcast. I was at the roundtable for the CSM, and the issue right now is the leak I just mentioned. There might be something else happening behind the scenes too. The CSM is a black box. We don't know what's going on inside of it. We're not allowed to know. So the current issue that I know of is there's allegations that some information was leaked. And I think this happens all the time, personally. But somebody used that information and made some pretty big moves in some pretty specific areas in the market that they would not have known about without CSM, right? So, without CSM insider information. So, my point to CCP and to the panel, now there was a panel there, Mike Azariah, Cyan Kumatoto, who else was sitting on the panel? CCP Falcons, CCP Lilu were there. They weren't CSM members. Jane Fillerin was there. I should remember everyone who was there. I'm sorry, I don't remember everyone who was on the panel. But my point to them was, now I was able to sneak this question last second, and I got a lot of positive feedback about it afterwards, honestly, much more than I was expecting, from players and from some CSM candidates, but not from CCP, strangely enough, is if you just remove all of these people's access to private information, don't we solve a lot of this crap? Don't we solve the CSM leak issues that keep happening every freaking year? Don't we solve the issues of transparency, not knowing what the CSM does? They can still be our advocates, and hopefully they will be the advocates that I am hoping they will be, which means that they have a vested interest in getting the hard questions answered by CCP. And they might do it right now. Look, this might not be fair criticism to the CSM as a body, or even to individual members, to dig and to really push for, legitimate questions and answers. But I get the opinion that this is from viewing it from the outside, that the relationship is just too cozy sometimes. And like I said, you can be polite but be constructive and really dig into a topic and not throw softballs or deflect or defend. Like, I'm sure that we don't know all the information, but I just find that the media and the CSM has just been so cozy with the company. It's not doing anybody any good. You do not become better as a company or as a person without adversity. You need that. You need challenging in life. And our Eve media tends to be very much a fanboy of the company. And I don't see often a lot of criticism from the media. Now, the player base can be vitriolic. They can be venomous. I don't think I need to rehash what happened with Aegisov, Fozziesov as it was nicknamed, and how ridiculous the people can be. So I just tend to ignore that. I keep my eye on the media and tend to ignore a lot of the if you can't put together a constructive post on the forums or on a blog or a constructive thought pattern through an outlet such as YouTube or a podcast, then I'm not going to rate it. So you might have some great ideas out there, but you need to present them properly. But the Eve community as a body, sorry, I was out really last night. The Eve community as a body tends to be the reverse of the media. They tend to have knives out all the time. But they're also usually they just throw rocks from behind walls and then hide behind those walls again. They're not out in an atmosphere of a regular content producer such as the blog posters and the podcasters and the people who do YouTube streams and Twitch and all that stuff. Those people just tend to be cheerleaders sometimes, and it's annoying. So, anyways, back on the CSM thing. I would really want to talk more thoroughly about this. CCP seems to think a few of their employees, I can't speak for the company, seem to think that giving the CSM insider information is necessary. But honestly, when you have, for example, a 6-month lead time on some of these features coming out for capitals, for example, capitals and structures, the whole iteration is not getting released until when is it? April? Long time. Do you really need to give these people secret information that they can't share? You can't bring people into the CSM to act as mediators and moderators and funnels of information from the player base to CCP and people who are experts in their game design. You can't bring those people in who are in industry because they're not allowed to be. So you work for another gaming company, you might have great freaking ideas for CCP, but because they're giving proprietary information, you can't sit on the CSM, right? That's another bad thing. Well, and the whole thing doesn't even make any sense to me anymore either, because we have such long lead times with big features coming out. 1, 2, we have these focus groups now being started, which are not being given secret information, but we kick around topics that are contentious, like Tech 3 destroyers, like I pray to God we have a subcap one someday, like a full subcap one, because there's some subcaps that need some serious attention. We have one forming for capitals. I'm sure there'll be one forming for structures. So why do you have these long lead times plus these focus groups and then still say you need the CSM? We would eliminate so much drama in the community. We would know what our CSMs are actually doing because they'd be transparent. They can't hide behind, well, I can't talk about it because it's NDA. That drives me bananas, and I'm sure there's some legit reasons that actually occurred. I'm sure sometimes it's just bullshit because they don't want to tell you what they actually think. And it was actually funny during the CSM panel. A few people actually said that there's been some pretty prominent situations where a member of the CSM said for example, they disagreed with something behind the scenes, but when it became public, they were all of a sudden on board, right? They literally flopped positions overnight on a topic when it became public. You would get rid of all that crap. We would know exactly what the CSM people think if they choose to talk to us, and there is a significant number of the CSM who get elected by their political bodies, their alliances, or their special interest group, and never talk to anybody ever again from the public. I'm sure they probably communicate with their constituents, but they don't talk to the greater EVE community, which I guess is sometimes okay. I'm really tired. Plus I got rugby tonight. I need to wake up. So, that's my overall point. I want a media that is more Watergate and less watered down. I like that. I'm gonna coin that. I want my media to be more investigative. I want them to stop being so fanboyish with the gaming company. I love CCP. I mean, I love they have great employees. I love hanging out with them. But you could disagree with people on topics and still hang out with them. Like, that is freaking possible, right? You can do your job as media. This is my opinion of what your job is. Your job is, I'm speaking to media people. Your job in the media is to disseminate information and ask hard questions. Okay? You can do that and still have good relationships with these people. Unless there's some topics that they choose to get angry about. Like when CCP Falcon literally lied to all of our faces and said that the people from World of Darkness were not getting laid off. Lied to them as well. It was leaked that they were getting laid off. It was leaked before they actually knew that they were getting laid off, those employees. And the World of Darkness staff, it was a big cluster. I mean, don't get me started on that. That was a total fuck up by CCP. And I'm not sure if Falcon did it himself or was instructed to, but that was a big fuck up. But you can ask hard questions like that and still maintain good relationships with these people. And for my CSM candidates, my CSM members, my opinion is you guys do not need sensitive information anymore. This bridge has been burned so many times. We don't know what happens behind the scenes because a lot of people hide behind the NDA, sometimes legitimately, sometimes not legitimately. We have such long lead times on a lot of big topics now that I'm still further wondering why you're needed to give inside ground. We have these focus groups coming up so we can have a wider selection of really smart people looking at topics and offering suggestions to make sure it comes out, polished and balanced, assuming CCP has the resources for some of this. The drama would stop. Well, it would be cut down significantly. We would actually know your position on things because you could tell us instead of saying, oh, I can't tell you because it's NDA. I don't know. I just find that entire reason we need inside information crap. And I know there's some candidates who I don't think would ever run again if they didn't get the inside track. Because I know also that there's a lot of people, and I'm sorry not to use statistics because I don't have any. I feel there's a number of people who are using the CSM for their own gains, who are basically doing insider trading on information they get from the CSM. I think that is fact. And I think LockFox did some pretty damning evidence to show that that's happening right now. But I think it's been happening since the beginning of time. You know how hard it is to stop that? If you give somebody inside information and they know ahead of time about something, there's so many anonymous ways to send tips to other people in the game or to have an alt on a VPN that you pay for with Plex that really isn't associated with you, that you start making some big trades with. I mean, this is not impossible. I know it happens, my opinion. I know it happens. In my mind, this happens all the time. So that's it. If you like this kind of videos, please subscribe. Please, +1 it wherever you see it. Please leave me some comments. People have been sending me a lot of private comments. You can leave public comments too. I don't care. Just give me some feedback. And by the way, All Blacks are this weekend. They're facing Australia. Where's this thing? So go All Blacks. The game is 7 a.m. on a Saturday here locally. That sucks badly. I am going to try to be awake for it, but I would like to go out that night too. It is Friday night, right? So it's 7 a.m. on a Saturday morning. No. Anyways, have a great evening. I'm going to go practice and talk to you guys later.